What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another edition of Diaries with a Bodybuilding Dad. It has certainly been a while since I have done one of these, so figured it was time to dust off the old camera, get on, give everybody a bit of an update, and kind of what we're going to start looking towards here in the near future as things continue just to roll along. If this is your first time, watching one of these, I would recommend just going back, watching some of the previous videos. There isn't too many, and I have been slacking a little bit on the updates, but it can still get you caught up. And as we start to move forward, again, my hope is that I'll start to get definitely a lot better at doing updates, because I do believe that there is power and something important with sharing our journey and sharing the things that we're going through and the things that we're dealing with, and the highs and the lows. A lot of the times that when we're on social media, we see people's highlight reel, and we don't see maybe the struggles that they are going through. And so as a coach, it's a lot of people trying to, project and want to, have that highlight and be this and be that. And, maybe don't realize, that there are a lot of lows that go along with this. And we do go through our peaks and valleys through this journey and this experience. And so, I do hope to, get a lot more into this. It's certainly a weakness of mine is, I'll get a lot of energy. I'll work for 4, 5, 6 weeks. Everything will be really good, and it's usually followed by quite a big low for myself. And I have struggled a lot with anxiety and depression in my life, and it's certainly something that I've been working on a lot over the last few years. I've been working with a therapist. I am on medication as well, and it's something that I've worked a lot on and have done a lot of soul seeking, if you will. Although I am not religious by any means, but I still do think that you can definitely look at yourself and ask yourself the hard questions and who you are and what you stand for. And those are things that I've been really working through. And this video and this series is part of that, and in relation to also just trying to be more consistent and try not to be too high and get too low. And that's certainly one of the themes of this video is really trying to work on that and be objective and understand yourself and where you are at any given moment. And again, not letting yourself get too high and too low on this journey. And again, as a coach, I see that a lot. And I think we're all guilty of it, right? When things are going well, we're like, nothing can go wrong, right? And then all of a sudden, one little thing or, a multitude of things maybe we weren't quite paying attention to, and we're back down and we feel like we're never going to get out of it. And, we can be our own worst critic, and we are our own worst enemy. And when we are in those valleys, it can make it certainly difficult to, see the progress that we're making or feel like we're making any progress. And so I think, part of the last couple months was, I was dealing with some pretty big lows again. And when I do go through those, it's very difficult for me to do anything extra. Some days it's a chore just to get out of bed, and I'm sure there are plenty of you that can relate to that. And all you want to do is just to lay in bed, shut out the world and not do anything. And it's a very hard thing to battle, and it's something that you're kind of working through on a daily basis. For someone like me, it's very hard for me to actually do that. But at the same time, you feel like you're fighting your natural self of wanting to do that, and so your energy just gets so drained, trying to continue to improve and to push yourself through those times when all your body wants to do is do nothing, and all your your mind wants to do is do nothing. And so it can be very hard to be objective with ourselves and to kind of go, hey, what, we are in control. We do feel out of control during those times. And I think really just trying to remember to realize that, hey, no matter how we feel, we're always in control. We're always in control of that. And so, that was definitely a big part of, why this video series was not happening the last couple of months, as yeah, it was just a very difficult couple of months for me, and you know, I don't want to say they're normal, but they're semi-normal. I've dealt with them, you know, my whole life, these highs and these very, very big lows, and so I'm still able to at least get, you know, my minimal work done and whatnot, but it is very hard to keep pushing forward. And you know, it's something that, you know, I'm going to continue to work on. You know, it's not something that you just want to give up on. You want to kind of continue to improve. You know, what can you learn from each valley? Because I think, you know, that is where a lot of, you know, our principles and who we are is kind of where that is, you know, forged is when we're going through those difficult times and you know, who are we during those times? It's very easy to be the best person or you know, the best version of you when things are going well, but it's, you know, when the rubber meets the road, you know, who shows up? And yeah, it is certainly a difficult thing, and it's something that, you know, it isn't going to come all at once. And yeah, it's going to take time, and it's going to take learning and trying to be objective. You know, I've been through it enough where I know, you know, as I come out of this and I'm coming, you know, into, you know, one of my highs, to try and keep even. You know, I've been very interested, you know, in professional athletes lately, and their mindset, because, you know, they do deal with some very, you know, stressful situations and context and whatnot. Yes, there are other people who deal with more life-saving, you know, issues and context and stressors, right? You know, you think, you know, emergency doctors, right? Military, obviously, you know, those are different, but, you know, being an athlete myself is just somewhat that I've been drawn to. And I find, you know, with athletes, you know, professional athletes, a lot of that stress comes from, you know, people like us who are watching it, right? And social media, and to be able to, you know, stay even keeled, to not get too high and to not get too low is something that, you know, I'm really trying to incorporate into my life. And it can be very difficult because we are such emotional beings. We're ruled by our emotions. And so to try and stop ourselves, right? Go, okay, let's be objective here. You know, what's going on? Why am I feeling this way? You know, how can I control this, right? Like, how can I help myself get through this and still progress and still, you know, become a better version of myself? So yeah, it's certainly been, you know, a tough couple of months in that sense. But we're coming out of it again. And, you know, just every time it's like, okay, you know what, let's try and be a little bit better. Like, what can I learn? And, you know, I think, yeah, I certainly learned a lot from this last one. I never liked the way I am during that, but I think it's also being, you know, partly okay with it. It is a part of me, right? And so being okay with it and understanding it and accepting it, but not letting it control me is kind of, you know, what I'm getting at. And that's something that I just try and really push with my clients, is you know, you're always in control. You're never out of control, even if it does feel like it, right? And it's just about having to stop, be objective. Let's look at the 10,000 foot view. Let's reset and let's move forward. And you know, certainly, you know, still being a new dad has been a part of that as well for all the new dads out there. You know, it's or even old dads, you've been through it as well, right? It is different. You know, my wife and I, we were together for 12 years, you know, before we had kids, married for, you know, 8 years before we had kids. And so you are very much used to a certain lifestyle. And not to say that I would take the decision back in any sense. It's been absolutely amazing. It certainly is an adjustment. And, you know, learning to, you know, incorporate this brand new human being into your overall life. And so, you know, between balancing the gym, balancing my recovery, balancing being, you know, work and being an amazing hands-on dad, it's definitely a lot to take on as well. And so I think, you know, that was part of it as well, is just adjusting during that time where, you know, maybe sleep for Quinn, our daughter, wasn't the greatest. Communication, you know, in the house maybe wasn't the greatest. You know, there's a lot of stressors going on. And so, again, I think it's about just stopping, you know, realizing and kind of looking at every aspect of your life of going, okay, where is everything, right? Like, how can I be objective with this? Where do I need to be, improving? Where do I need to be working on? What's going well right now? I don't think we should ever discount that either. I think we also, and all of this, I'm guilty of all of it. And these are more so just, my thoughts and things that I've learned. But I don't think that we should, and it's very easy to do, is to ignore a lot of the good things that are going on, during the bad times, and the silver linings that we can kind of, grab and hold on to, that list. Okay, like, what, it's maybe not as bad as I thought, right? And again, that's where we need to try and be objective with ourselves and open-minded with ourselves, and really just, make sure that we are taking care of that. And so this journey is going to be full of, peaks and valleys, like I said, and I think we have to, know that those valleys are going to come no matter what, right? We know they're going to happen. Life isn't perfect. Life isn't easy. And so it's always, about preparing for those valleys and taking something from each one and trying to apply it to that next one. And I don't think, you'll ever get rid of valleys. It's going to happen. It's, like I said, it's just a part of life, but it's about, managing those and learning from those and, progressing and becoming a better person every single time that happens. And that progress might look a little bit different during those valleys. And I think that's something that we have to realize as well, is that you aren't going to be making those big jumps in progress like you do maybe during the good times, right? Progress looks a lot slower and it almost looks non-existent when we are in those valleys, whatever it might be. But I think, we have to almost compare, our valleys to our last valley, right? Like, am I handling this better than I did last time? What am I doing differently? What did I learn from last time that I'm able to apply now and still make progress, right? So progress never stops. It just might look a little bit different from time to time, and depending on the context of your life. And I think that's something very important to consider, because again, we're gonna go through those valleys, and if we just stop progressing every time we go into one of those valleys, you're going to have a lot of this start-stop, and it's going to be very hard to make that long-term sustainable changes. And that's kind of where the last couple of months have been. I've been thinking a lot about this project. I've been really wanting to get back into it, and I think I got a little bit away from it, being that diary aspect of kind of what I intended it to be when I first started this. I was getting caught up in the educate and this and that, but this is very much a diary of my experience. And again, like I kind of said at the beginning of the video, I think there's something very powerful of sharing our own experience, what we've learned and the things that we've been through, and being objective about it, because that's where we learn, right? Is human interaction and sharing our journeys with one another. So yeah, that's where things have been the last couple of months. I kind of went into this, I was going to do a physique update and whatnot, but I think this was definitely has been on my mind a lot over the last couple of months. And yeah, just I want to reset the focus of this series. There's still going to be some educational stuff. I am starting my diet here in a couple of weeks to get a little bit leaner and closer to stage weight, to kind of see where we need to make some more improvements before I do hop into prep. So this is just more of going to be this life update, what's been going on in the last couple of months. If you're still watching, I do appreciate you listening to just me ramble, and hopefully you're able to pull something out of this that you can apply to your life and can maybe help you out in a situation. And I would I'd love to hear any of your stories along the way as well, and things that you've learned and you've been able to apply to your own lives that have helped you out. Because again, maybe just because I'm good in one thing doesn't mean I'm great in other things. And again, everyone's good at something, and if we can kind of share our collective experiences, chances are you're going to be able to find something that you can kind of pluck out of someone else's life and apply to yours, and you're like, oh wow, like that I never thought of that, right? And boom, now you've learned something. And that's what it's all about, is is learning, progressing, educating, and I think, you know, trying to be as objective with ourselves as much as possible. All right, guys. Life lessons with Tyler. Hopefully some of that made sense and worked out for this video's purposes, but super excited to kind of get back into this. I'm sure there's still going to be some starts and stops here, but certainly going to do my best to be consistent, take it 1 week at a time, and at the end of the day, that's all that we can do is just continue to try and strive and push forward here. So that's going to be it for today, guys. Thank you for watching. If you still are watching, I do appreciate it. Make sure to just hit that subscribe button so you're keeping up on the rest of this journey here, and have a great rest of your Wednesday, and till next time.